Guys, welcome back to a brand new video, and today I'm just going to have a quick first impressions for We Never Learn. I haven't really got too much to say on this series as a whole, but I just thought I'd make first impressions because I like to make first impressions on just series that kind of interested me or I wanted to talk about. And although I didn't love this first volume, this is definitely a series that I did want to talk about. So let's just get straight into it. The premise of the story is what I'll touch on first, and it's about this guy here who wants to get a recommendation into a college, but in order to do that he needs to tutor these two girls who are both geniuses in one particular subject but want to go to colleges for the opposite subject to what they're good at, basically. So for example, she wants to go to college for a certain subject that she's good at, and vice versa. So that's basically the premise of the story, and it's about him tutoring them to make sure that they get into the colleges of their choosing. So that's pretty basic premise for the series. It definitely offers up some cool ideas for some comedy and whatnot, but the premise itself is pretty basic and not really something particularly brand new. A lot of comedy series like this are kind of centered in and around school or the end of school times. So, like I said, nothing particularly unique about it. And then in terms of artwork, which is another thing that is kind of universal, and I touched on in all my first impressions, the artwork in it is pretty basic, nothing to write home about, but it's pretty nice and refined, and the characters have nice detail to them. But yeah, nothing spectacular in terms of the artwork, but still nice and refined. So now my kind of thoughts and opinion on the series. I enjoyed it to a certain degree. However, I kind of feel like it's going into the one with a harem, and that's not really something that I'm looking for in a series. I was kind of going into this more expecting a comedy, and I can understand why. Like, I guess some people do like reading harem series, but personally, that's just not what I'm interested in. So I'm kind of hoping that it doesn't go that way, because right now, or based on this first volume, it's not really reached that stage. But just based on where it's going, it kind of seems like that's where it's headed. But like I said, I kind of hope it doesn't go in that direction. It kind of sticks with just this platonic kind of friend group here who are just trying to get exams done and whatnot. Cause I think that would just be better and offer funnier scenarios than if it was a harem. But I mean, that's just my opinion. I'll definitely try to read on and see if it does do a good job of incorporating a harem, I guess, into the already existing comedy of the series. So next, moving on to the comedy. Not all of the comedy kind of hits with me personally, but the issue with kind of making a comedic series is that obviously it's one of the most subjective things that you'll find, basically. So although I didn't enjoy the comedy, somebody else might. But for me personally, some of the jokes and whatnot kind of didn't really hit with me and resonate with me. They weren't really as funny as something like Kaguya-sama or Komi Can't Communicate. But again, that's all based on opinion. Although there are some things a comedy series or a comedy manga should kind of do, like for example the placement of jokes on when punchlines kind of should come. That's just kind of common place within like comedy manga. They should be done well, and here they're pretty accurate. They come at the right times, and when scenes need to be more serious or more emotional, they definitely do that, and they don't just include jokes into them for absolutely no reason. So that's the placement of jokes and whatnot is definitely fine. Something it's not really an issue with the series. But kind of another thing that I'm not really too fond of is the characters. They seem a bit generic and uninspired. They all kind of just seem like the typical like, cutesy anime girl kind of thing. And although they have kind of different like subjects and whatever that they're good at, they all kind of just, if you put them down to the bare bones, are basically just three of the same character. And I feel like the third main girl in the series doesn't really need to be there in this first volume. She doesn't really add much other than just knowing the main guy. She doesn't really add too much to the series, in my opinion. I hope our character gets explored more, but character progression and development doesn't really seem like something the series is going to focus too much on. And kind of the final thing is that I'd assume when going into this that this series isn't going to be too long, and I would have thought that it wouldn't be any longer than like 10 or so volumes, but now looking at it, I think in Japan it's on like 15 or 16 volumes, so that was quite surprising. I don't know what they're going to do to kind of drag out the series, and I hope that it's just not unnecessarily long with the same repetitive storylines, because that could definitely be a concern or a cause for concern. But obviously I can't really speak on the future of the series as I'm not up to date with it, and this is all I've read, but I'm just kind of concerned as to how they can implement so many volumes and different storylines within it, considering this is only like a year or so of school time. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on the series. Wasn't the biggest fan of it, but some of the jokes and whatnot were funny, and the artwork is decent enough to complement it, but the chance of it becoming a harem is very, very high, and that's not what really I'm looking for in this kind of series. But it's more than likely something that's going to happen. So if that's something you're interested in, then I definitely recommend picking up the series. But for me personally, if it does seem like it's getting to that stage and it's losing character progression and storyline elements and comedy because of it, then I'll probably drop the series. But this first volume definitely made me want to continue and just see kind of where the series goes, just see if I was right about my thoughts on it. But in terms of the quality of it, not as good as I would have expected in this first volume, basically. So yeah, just quick first impressions. I'm much more excited and have much more positive things to say about my next first impressions on Komi Can't Communicate. But for this one, it's got a bit of a way to go, basically. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Have a great day, and peace.